On the morning of August 13th, 2018, Chris Watts woke up, got the house in order, and drove to work. That morning, his pregnant wife, Shanann Watts, and their two little girls also vanished from the face of the earth. Shannon was a devoted wife, mother, and pillar of the family who did everything for its well-being. And their two adorable children, Bella, 4, and Celeste, 3. For Bella, father was her first hero. But for Chris Watts, he did not know where they were. By the time the sun went down, Chris Watts was standing on his porch in front of news cameras pleading for their safe return. He laughed at times when it was not funny. He spoke about his daughters in the past tense, which was very strange. Somewhere about an hour's drive away, Bella and Celeste were submerged in crude oil tanks, stuffed there by their own father, Chris Watts, who was asking people to bring them home. This is the story of Chris Watts. He was not a person who looked scary. He was a helpful person who seemed like a devoted husband and father. Chris Watts had been planning to murder his entire family for weeks, and he felt nothing after he did it. Chris Watts and Shanann Watts were both from North Carolina. They met in 2010 when Chris Watts sent Shanann a friend request on Facebook. She was recovering from a car accident, dealing with a health problem. They started talking, liked each other. By 2012, they had moved to Colorado together, got married. From the outside, their life looked perfect. They had a house in Frederick, Colorado. They had two daughters, Bella and Celeste. In 2018, they were having a baby boy, who they would name Nico. Their life was not as good as it seemed. They had a lot of debt from credit cards and medical bills. They even filed for bankruptcy in 2015. Things started to get better when Shanann started selling health products. She was very good at it, made some money. Chris Watts worked at Anadarko Petroleum. By 2018, they seemed to be doing well financially. They were even planning a party to find out if their baby was a boy or a girl. Shanann was happy, posted a lot on social media. The unraveling. What people did not know was that Chris Watts had started a relationship with a woman named Nicole Kessinger. They started talking at work. It turned into a romantic relationship. Chris Watts lost weight, got fit. He stopped using Facebook, became cold and distant at home. In the summer of 2018, Shanann and the girls went to North Carolina for 5 weeks. Chris Watts saw this as a chance to be free. He brought Nicole Kessinger into their home. He spent every night with her. When Chris Watts finally joined his family in North Carolina, his behavior was very strange. He was cold, did not want to touch Shanann or the girls. On the night of their trip, Chris Watts told Shanann he did not want the baby. He said he was happy with the 2 girls they already had. Shanann told him she did not feel safe with him. Then Chris Watts did something bad. He gave Shanann a pill that he said was for her headache. It was actually oxycodone, a potentially lethal narcotic. He hoped it would cause her to lose the baby, believing that if the pregnancy ended, leaving her would be easier. Shanann got very sick. Chris Watts did not help her. He just wanted the outcome he wanted. Shanann noticed something while she was in Arizona. There was a charge on their credit card from a restaurant. She searched the menu online, realized Chris Watts must have been with someone else. She told her friends she was sure Chris Watts was having an affair. She flew home on the night of August 12th. Her friend dropped her off at 1:48 a.m. Chris Watts was waiting inside. Shanann had less than 4 hours to live. The murders. When Shanann got home, they argued. Chris Watts told her about the affair. He said he did not love her anymore and wanted to separate. Shanann said that if he left, he would never see the girls again. Chris Watts said this made him very angry. He strangled Shanann. Shanann could not fight back because she was pregnant. Chris Watts did not get hurt because Shanann was too weak. As he was dragging her body down the stairs, the girls woke up. They came into the bedroom, asked what was wrong with their mom. He told them to follow him. They carried their blankets and stuffed animals. The drive to the oil site took over an hour. At the site, Chris Watts took Celeste first. He smothered her with her blanket, put her in a tank. He felt nothing as he let her go. He was surprised at how easy it was. He heard the splash as she hit the oil below. Then he went back to the truck where Bella was waiting. She had seen everything. She asked her dad if he was going to do the same thing to her. As Bella cried out, Chris Watts smothered her with the blanket. Bella fought back. Chris Watts was too strong. He put the girls in tanks so they would not get up again. Then he dug a grave for Shanann and buried her. He later wrote that he felt no remorse. He felt like he could kill anyone. it would be okay. At that time, he even thought about the dog. If he had put it in the cage? The cover-up and investigation. Shanann's friends got worried when she stopped responding to texts and calls. When they learned she had missed her doctor's appointment, they got scared. Her friend drove to the house, saw Shanann's car in the garage. She called the police. The police searched the house. They found everything Shanann would never leave behind: her phone, purse, and wedding ring. That afternoon, Chris gave a television interview on his front porch. Investigators would later call this interview the sermon on the porch. Chris smiled at moments. He laughed briefly. He talked about his daughters in the past tense. She always wore those flip-flops. She always will. He referred to Shanann as her and she. He didn't set his daughters' names, all which appeared to be quite strange. During the interrogation, Chris Watts remained calm, cooperative, and hollow. He claimed Shanann had taken the girls to a friend's house after an early morning conversation about separation. Chris Watts gave up his phone password. He offered to help in any way he could. Chris Watts showed no fear, no grief, and not a single tear. A neighbor's security camera had already confirmed Chris Watts was the person to leave the house that morning. No Shanann, no girls. When confronted with the results, Chris Watts first admitted to the affair. Then, under continued pressure, Chris Watts produced a story. Shanann had killed the girls, Chris Watts said. He had found them, strangled Shanann in a rage. Chris Watts was a grieving father who snapped. Investigators did not believe a word of Chris Watts' story. The truth in sentencing. Chris Watts was sentenced to 5 life sentences without the possibility of parole plus additional time. The judge called it perhaps the inhumane and vicious crime he had ever handled. In February 2019, in a 5-hour prison interview, Chris Watts finally told the truth. The murders were not a crime of passion. Chris Watts had planned them for weeks. Chris Watts had tried to smother the girls before Shanann even arrived home. Chris Watts had felt nothing during or after. Chris Watts had thought about the dog before he thought about what he had done to his children. At sentencing, Shanann's father, Frank Razuchek, looked directly at Chris Watts. Said, "You carried them out like trash. Prison is too good for you." Her mother, Sandra, reminded the court of a video Bella had once made. A little girl singing, "Daddy, You're My Hero," said that God had removed the crown from Chris Watts' head the day he took their lives. Chris Watts sat silently. His only statement was an apology delivered secondhand through his attorney. Chris Watts is currently serving his sentences at Dodge Correctional Institution in Waupun, Wisconsin. Chris Watts was transferred out of Colorado after his presence triggered lockdowns and constant threats from inmates. You're watching NightFall Witness, where the shadows speak and every case leaves a trace. Subscribe now to uncover the world's darkest crimes, stories that vanish, evidence that whispers, and justice that sometimes walks a tightrope.